a contract. It is not law. There is no law that you have to do child support. Why? Because it was never passed through Congress. So therefore, it's a business that works with the government. It's a private entity that works with the government, and that's why they're subject to be sued. But the easiest way to get out of child support is to understand the elements of a contract, then present to the court that you were not given those options. Right here, we got the elements of a contract, the offer, and I'm going to try to make this a little bigger. So we have the offer right here. The acceptance, the mutual assent, consideration, and capacity, and legality. All right. Now, these are the elements of a contract. Of course, things are going down around here in Cincinnati. They motherfucking got the ghetto bird out here. But elements of a contract. Did you have an offer for this child support contract? Was there an offer? Did someone come to you and say, I have a proposition for you, I have an offer for you? Did that happen? If it did not happen, then they have broken that element of a contract, challenged that. Acceptance. Did you accept that offer? It wasn't even an offer to begin with, but let's just play along for child support sake. Did you accept that offer? Why would somebody accept subjugation that we can take your license and we can garnish your wages and then we can tell you that you cannot be around your child? They have no, people talk about people complaining about child support. Understand, if you have over 90 nights in the state of Ohio, they must lower your child support according to law. That is why they do not give men on child support every weekend, because every weekend would be 108 nights. And then legally, they will have to lower your child support. And they do not want to do that because that takes out of their pocket. So back to the element of a contract. And let me tell you, let's go in here. Got the Court of Appeals right here. You're going to zoom in. This right here is the contract they said I signed. They're lying through their teeth. So we have the Child Support Enforcement Agency doing fraud. As we see here, this right here says that I signed it on the 10th, January 10th, 2019. Where I allegedly signed, it is 1/8/19, 2 days before. Why is this important? Because I didn't sign this. These people are lying. They have my signature on other things, and they may have put it here. But I wouldn't sign no shit like this. And then there is no plaintiff. So you know, so was I supposedly signing this with the Child Support Enforcement Agency? I do not consent to none of that garbage. And then forging my name here shows you. But not only that, you go down here, this is the contract that mother signed. As you can see, I was nowhere. I didn't sign that shit at all. And her being party to the case, being a ward of state, is null and void. It's really illegal because having a guardian, you cannot make contracts. And that goes back to the elements of a contract. Right here, mutual assent, also known as the meeting of the minds. Has child support ever come to you and said, um, let's talk about all these different things in child support? Yes. We can raise it anytime we want to, make it go down anytime we want to. We can take your license and all your professional licenses. We can garnish your wages and your tax refunds. We can do all these things. Just sign right here. Did you have mutual assent? There was no mutual assent. So we see that all these elements of a contract were broken during child support when they forced this on you. Knowing the elements of a contract, you can make that contract void because they are all void. Consideration. Did you consider the situation you're putting yourself into before it happened? That's the elements of a contract that you sit there and you consider, do I really want to do this to myself and put myself under subjugation? These are all elements of a contract. Okay. Capacity. And this goes back to, you know, the mother signing the paper. If she was considered a ward of the state, she'd no longer be able to sign that paper. And that's the situation in my case. But they allow these contracts because they do all things illegal and unlawful. So capacity is like a child. A child cannot sign a contract for a car, for anything. Does not have the capacity to do it. So you must be of legal age. And if you sign something, your parents definitely have to sign as well. And the most important part about a contract is no one can force you into a contract. No one can coerce you into a contract. So understanding these different things of a contract, we see that this right here, how am I in this contract right here? There was no meeting of the minds, no none of that, none of that. Fraud is what it was. We see right here, not able to do that. Let's go to their contract. If we go to the child support contract, what do we see here? We see that the let me zoom in a little bit more. Let me just okay. So right here we have the Ohio Department of Job and Family Services. These are the people who are bribing the court today. They're giving millions of dollars to the juvenile court here in Cincinnati. Um, so we see it's the Office of Child Support Fiscal Administration. So child support has a fiscal administration, and the contract unit is how they're contracting with different people. Believe that this juvenile court is not the only people that child support contracts with. Child support also contracts with, you guessed it, the detention facilities for minors. They contract with them, and I can show you in this contract where they give Hillcrest Academy money as well, which is a facility for young boys who have felonies. So as we see here, it says on the top, Office of Child Support Fiscal Administration, Contract Unit. All right, P.O. Box Blase Skip, Columbus, Ohio. All right. So what we see with this contract unit and this Job and Family Services is this the one, this is the main one right here. It's the one um, in this nation's capital. But I would have to see who owns this one because understand, child support is not part of the government. That's why it's not a law, it's contract. So there's an individual that owns child support. It is not part of the government. There's one person that's making money in Ohio that owns this entity right here. And they're different in different states. So we have to figure out who is this one person that's taking all this money from everybody. But right here, what we also see is, and let me zoom out a little bit. Okay, we have 4D contract is between Hamilton County Child Support Enforcement Agency, and right here we have the clerk of courts. So this is what this contract is. The child support, they're not the same. The court and child support are not the same. They're not the same entity. Child support court is not a court. All right, it's a collection agency. They're contracted through with the collection agency to steal your shit. So this is what we're seeing here. The clerk of court's filing services, as you can see right here. I wish I can actually put some, or forget it. You guys can see that thing right there. All right, it's checked off. Now, what does it say? The unit rate is $155.04 per filing. So every time there's a new child support filing to do, they get $155 to do it from child support. So of course, the clerk's office, when you go in there and you say, how do I get off? What paperwork do I do to get off child support? They're going to look at you and laugh. All right, and then they're going to misdirect you. Just the long and short of it. All right, so let's go back. What do we see? This contract, the contract effective date. Okay. So right here, these are all the different things that are in it. Contract, governmental contractor, 4D contract budget. So what do we see here? This is a 4D contract. They don't call it child support because, and I'll hope to show you later if I have time, but it's not for the benefit of the child. It's for the benefit of the government treasury, says the Supreme Court. Supreme Court has ruled that child support is not for the benefit of the child or the parent. It's to benefit the government treasury or their money, their pocket. Why? Because they're a loan agency called welfare, which is 4A, is taking money. So 4D is to collect money that they're giving away with Social Security Title 4A. I don't want to get too deep into things, but let's continue though. So we see all these different things. 4D contract cover letter. So it says 4D contract with government entity right here, 4D contract cover letter, 4D contract and attached document that describes the performance standards. So to get this money, they have to do certain things. And I want you all to definitely, you know what I mean? Definitely put that in consideration. that there's performance standards that we're going to check out in a little bit. Don't worry about it. And they want to make sure that these magistrates do exactly take all the much money as they can from these fathers and mothers with dealing with children's services. After they steal their children, they want to make sure the magistrate take as much money as possible from them, and that the magistrate never give them their child back or make it very hard because they want to keep getting that child support money. All right. But we see this is one of their contracts right here. Okay. 4D contract budget. All right. Commissioners. So they think they're making things official by bringing in the commissioner. County cost allocation plan. Appropriate summary page for the county cost allocation plan. This is where they give them all that money. I think on this one, it's $0.6 million. So it's about $600,000 that they give the clerk's office here in Cincinnati. Verification from sheriff that the sheriff charges other agency service or process fees. Oh, that's not even on there. Let's continue. All right. Let's get to the motherfucking meat and potatoes of this. Now, this is that contract right here. It's a 4D contract right here from the Social Security Administration. This is how they robbing people. This is how they're bribing the court. Right here, it spells out everything that they need to do in order to keep that money flowing from child support. This is, and I'm going to start reading. I'm going to read a little bit of it. Pursuant to Title 4D of the Social Security Act. That's very important. The first line is very important because you have to understand what is 4D. Child support is 4D. 4E, Title 4E is children's services. Title 4A is welfare. So understand, it says Title 4D right here of the Social Security Act. But understand Title 4A is welfare. So that's a loaning agency. They give money. So they needed to collect money. So they created Title 4D, which is child support. All right. Now, we got the Code of Federal Regulations and Ohio Revised Code. Let me keep on. Enter into this 4D contract with the Hamilton County Clerk of Courts to purchase services for the effective administration of the support enforcement program. So we have effective administration of the support enforcement program. All right. So they're giving money to make sure that they're effective in enforcing child support. That's what they're giving the Hamilton County Clerk's Office. All right. Now, the Child Support Enforcement Agency and the contractor certify that all 4D contract activities shall be performed in compliance with 4D of the Social Security Act. Unless otherwise specified, the terms of this 4D contract apply to both governmental contractors and private contractors. All right. So what does this mean? This means they are contracting with the government. This is the executive branch of the government contracting with the judicial branch of the government. The Social Security Act is in the executive branch of the government. Social Security is in the executive branch. The juvenile court is in the judicial branch of the government. But this governmental entity is bribing the other governmental entity. But see, the thing about child support is it's a private business. So they're not acting like a government entity because they're owned by different entities. They're owned by different people. It's a franchise. It's some things to get an understanding of. But let's continue. The 4D contract consists of this document and all attached forms or documents that are incorporated and deemed to be part of the 4D contract, as if fully written herein. Nothing in this 4D contract shall be construed contrary to state or federal laws and regulations. Well, it is. It is. It's treason. It's treason. All right. Okay, let's continue though. 4D contract terms. 4D contract period. The 4D contract is effective from 1/1/2019 to 2/31/2019, unless terminated earlier in accordance with the terms listed in paragraph 23 of the 4D contract. All right. So this is 12 months. So in 12 months, they gave the juvenile court clerk's office only the clerk's office 600. Let me see how much it is. Let's look at exactly how much it is. Oh yeah, total expenses right here. Let's see what they're giving them. $604,000 is given to the juvenile court from this is only the clerk's office, because when we go to the magistrate's contract, it's going to be a little different. And in fact, I really want to go there. It'd be a better thing to go to, but we're dealing with the clerk for today. I guess we can get into, well, man, I'm about to say my stuff better not just be messing up out of nowhere. But let's get back to them. So back to the elements of contract. All right. Which is the main thing that's going on today. I just want to go through the contract that child support has with the juvenile court. But now I'll expand what I'm talking about. Let's talk about some other things. Here it says Title 4D was not intended to benefit individual children and custodial parents. Now, what does that really mean? That Title 4D, which is child support, was not intended to benefit individual children and custodial parents. Well, what that means is, and I'm going to read it, since Congress only intended to give states the ability to recoup 4A loans intended to needy unwed women with children, the courts have consistently ruled that Title 4D creates no enforceable rights for the unwed woman with children because they are not the intended beneficiaries of the statute. All right? So they are not the intended beneficiaries of child support. The intended beneficiary is to recoup 4A loans extended to needy unwedded women with children. So it's not the women and children that's supposed to benefit from this. It is Title 4A, which is welfare, is supposed to benefit from child support, not you. It's not for children, and that's why it cannot be called child support. That's why it's called Title 4A, because it's not for the child. All right. They will happily, children's services will happily take your child and put you on child support. All right. It's not for the child. Let me read one of the court rulings here. It says, see Wuhan and Ledbetter, mothers of children with absent fathers, brought suit under 1983 against the Georgia Department of Health and Human Services for its failure to establish the paternity of their children and secure child support on their behalf. The 11th Circuit held that Title 4D does not create enforceable rights on behalf of needy families with children because they are not the intended beneficiary of the statute. The court reasoned that the primary purpose of 4D was to recoup the state's welfare expenditures on behalf of needy families by collecting child support from absent parents. While the AFDC program itself is intended to benefit needy families with children, Title 4D was intended to benefit public treasury and taxpayers by reducing the present and future welfare rolls. All right. So I say that to say that it is not intended for the woman or the child, but for the government treasury to have a less of a load when they're giving out welfare that makes sure that there's going to be a father out the house so he can pay child support and recoup for the damages they did to the home. They want to recoup on the damages. Okay? They made sure that the welfare had a system where the father cannot be in the home or they can't have the little welfare. And then they say, oh, he's absent. We must subject him to child support. We must subject him because he's gone. He's gone. He's a deadbeat. But why is he gone? He has no rights on purpose. This is a plot on us. We are under subjection, but we just need to come through together. That's all that is. That's why we're here. That's why I'm here. Don't worry about it, family. But let's continue though. I don't really want to read that. I just talked about that. Birth certificate. Now I want to stress something to all of you. The birth certificate does not give you rights. Signing the birth certificate gives you no rights to do shit. You will not be able to do anything. It does not matter. You will not be able to take the baby home. No, not to your house, unless you stay with her. The birth certificate does not do that. All right? The birth certificate does not give you any right for custody to be around your child at all. The birth certificate does not do that. The birth certificate is a contract that you become the legal father. You are not the biological father by signing the contract. You are not. The birth certificate does not make you a biological father. The DNA does. And you can buy that yourself. $300. You can buy that yourself. So just because paternity is established, it does not automatically mean that the father has custody or visitation rights with the minor child. The same goes for the father who have been ordered by the child support enforcement agency to pay child support. Once paternity is established, it is necessary for the father to petition the court for custody, shared parent, or parent time. So it don't matter. That's not doing nothing for you to sign the birth certificate. It's not. It's not. It's not. Now, this is I want to read the bottom first. The bottom is hot fire. Let me so Ohio Revised Code 3109.042. What does it say about the custody rights of an unmarried mother? Let's look. An unmarried female who gives birth to a child is the sole residential parent and legal custodian of the child until a court of competent jurisdiction issues an order designating another person as the residential parent and legal custodian. A court designating a residential parent and legal custodian of child described in this section shall treat their mother and father as standing upon equal when making a designation. Now, you know they don't do that. You know they do not follow this code. It is not equal when a father tries to get some type of rights in that court. They say, oh, well, he must not love his children. He must not love them because he didn't go over there and try to fight. Go fight the juvenile court. Well, why? Is he, they say all types of things. Let me read it. In the case of such request, the court shall appoint a master to act as arbitrator who shall be experienced in domestic relations matters. And I can go into it here. We talk about the best interest of the child. I'm going to keep it moving because I don't want to get too technical with this right here. Okay, right here. Child support has an application. All right. It has an application fee. And do you sign an application to get rights? Like the freedom of speech. Do you need an application for the freedom of speech? Do you need an application? You feel me? Maybe nowadays. What does it say? The Department of Job and Family Services shall charge an application fee of up to $25 as determined by rule adopted by the Director of Job and Family Services pursuant to Chapter 119 of the Revised Code for Furnishing Services under the Title 4D of the Social Security Act. So right there is letting it be known you have to sign an application in order to get child support. It's not, you don't have a right to child support. They don't have a right to what they're doing. They're signing an application to put you under subjection. All right. Application fee. And you can charge for you got to get charged for your rights. Is your rights has an application fee? You know what I'm saying? So let's continue. What is prima facie law? What is prima facie law? Do I really want to get into this? I think I'm going to save this. And I want to go back to my main premise before I get up off of here. All right. My main premise right here. Elements of a contract. Okay. I'm just checking it out now before I leave because I'm going to be leaving soon. Don't want to do something too long, but just want to go strong. But I want to stress that nobody can force you into a contract. Nobody can coerce you into a contract. You cannot receive a contract right before you realize that you have one. You cannot be in a contract before you even know you're in one. And that's what happens when all of a sudden your wages are being garnished out of nowhere. You didn't know what hit you. That's not a contract. So child support is not a contract. And that's why you have to fight it in the Court of Appeals to prove that it's not a contract. All right? Not in the juvenile court, as we can see earlier. And as I showed, the juvenile court, and I guess I will have to show that another time, but I showed it earlier. The juvenile court is getting bribes. So they're not, the Court of Appeals does not get bribes. Well, I hope. Well, no, because they're judges. They're not magistrates. See, magistrates are just lawyers who the the judge appoints. And then the judge, Miss Melissa Powers, and I'll show this too. I've already showed this in my past videos. She sits on her high horse and she says, oh, well, if you don't pay for these expensive transcripts, then I don't have to answer anything. I don't have to judge anything unless you pay me money. Period. I don't care what you're talking about. That money comes to me. And if you want to see me, Miss High and Lofty, Miss Arrogant, then you have to pay me money. So, this is what's going on. It's people are taking bribes. I'm not gonna, yeah. But yeah. People taking bribes and things of that nature. But yeah, I had a little set time. So I'm gonna go ahead and disappear as the ghost does. Y'all have a nice night.